It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission really is to inspire, our mission is to empower, and our mission is to provide you, the entrepreneur, the hard worker, the person that's the backbone of these United States of America, with all the resources, because it takes resources to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, at this time, we have the one and only Karen Gilliam, who's in the building. How are you, Karen?
I am doing great, and for that, I'm grateful.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Folks are probably taking a look at your bio right now. They're looking down, and they're thinking, Shay, this topic, Queen Warrior. Shay, this topic, Crown Bound. Can you just have her start off and say why that title and why it's so important to her so we can understand what this discussion is going to be about?
Well, and it's my pleasure to explain the title of my first published book, Queen Warrior, Crown Bound. And the title of the book was actually given to me by a friend. My husband of 43 years passed away in July of 2021 of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I was his caregiver and spouse, of course, of 43 years. But when he transitioned, I didn't like the title that the world wanted to put on me of a widow, because the perception of a widow is someone who is distraught, vulnerable. She doesn't know where she's going, what she's going to do. It seems like she's in depression. And that was far from me. Now, don't get me wrong, I have my moments. You're not with someone 43 years married, 46 knowing, without having your moments of missing him. But a friend looked at me and she said, when I look at you, I don't see a widow. I see a queen warrior. She says, you're regal, you wear your crown. And that crown, as the word says, God's word says, I was a crown for my husband's head. So you, it was an opportunity to talk about being a queen warrior as opposed to being a widow. And crown bound is what you do to earn that crown.
Wow, thank you for being open and so transparent to the person sitting out there now that's listening and saying, Shay, I'm going through some things as well right now. And do you mind, since you have her here and we see she's a CIO and so forth, what is one, two, or three things that she would recommend to someone right now that's going through some trauma? And whether it's the loss of a spouse, which I have not experienced, but that, or something's going on in their life, or maybe they just got hit with the punch they never saw coming. I mean, sometimes life happens. What are, and maybe this is a fair question, what are one, two, or three strategies that you would recommend that someone could do so they can kind of bounce back, for lack of a better term, or at least get moving in the right direction?
Absolutely. Well, I call that, Shay, BBA. And I've experienced several episodes of BBA, and that's bounce back ability. See, I believe truly that I live by the 4 P's. The first P is promise. As a child of God, I already know that God has given me thousands of promises in his word. So what he has said in his word, I believe. Therefore, even when, and they do happen, the challenges come, and this is the second P, problems. The problems will come. There is a process by which, third P, a process where you keep going no matter what. See, sometimes the problems are there to see how bad you want it. And so you know there's a process, but you always refer back to the promise. And then when all those that keep going, keep pushing, there is the fourth P, and that is the prize. You will earn the prize. So, see, in my situation, even though I had the problems of being in a new season of my life without my husband of 43 years, my heart, his heart, I lost my heartbeat, but my heart was still beating, which means I had a purpose to fulfill. And that has kept me going. Well, now next month, 2 years. So
Yeah, thank you.
that
Thank you
would
for
be
sharing.
the process. Yes.
What inspired you to write the book? I understand what happened, but that's something
Hmm.
you could have kept to yourself. Writing a book is very difficult for some. It's a miracle for others, and people like myself been talking about doing it for 100 years. But it's not. This is not about me. It's about you, and I'm just curious. Sometimes it takes people years to get over the healing process, but you were able to write the book. So it's a two-part question.
Hmm.
Number one, how did the book help you resolve whatever situation you had by telling the story? And number two, why'd you decide to do it now? Like you could have waited 5, 10 years down the road. Why'd you feel now was the right time to do it?
Why did I decide to write Queen Warrior? Um, as a coach, I talk to my clients about not allowing society to put labels on you, labels that clearly do not define you. And so I decided that Queen Warrior needed to be written for those who have experienced being a caregiver of a loved one, um, losing that loved one, and life after that loved one. And I am very transparent in this book about the things that you don't know are going to happen until you go through it. So you're talking to someone who never liked being in hospitals. And then for a lot of months, I had to be in the hospital with my husband because the vows I took 43 years ago said in sickness and in health. So I had to put me aside and I had to become his advocate because even though he was a 23-year veteran of the military, he no longer had that strong voice. So I had to stand up and be that voice for him. And why now? Why not? Because I know there are other women who, just like me, who've gone through things and you didn't even know it was going to happen. And so it is important. So now the journey is not done. I'm moving on to my second book. And the title will be From Crushed to Crown. And the reason is I want to talk to women who not only have experienced losing a husband to death, but what about the ones who were in abusive situations? What about the ones who are separated or divorced? And so it will be addressing those because their heart is still crushed. So it was now necessary because I learned things and I said, I know I'm not the only one that didn't know the things I didn't know until I went through it.
Speak to the person if you would, and you're so transparent that you talked about two type of individuals. One is someone that might be in a situation right now that might not be the ideal situation, and
Hmm.
maybe it's an abusive situation, maybe it's physical, maybe it's mental, maybe it's just the wrong situation. And they
Hmm.
may be thinking, okay, Shay, she said that. It speaks to me. What are three things, maybe, or three steps that she would recommend that I take? And maybe they're there, and I'm not speculating, but maybe they're worried about folks are going to say about them. You know what I mean? And not working out, or maybe nobody even knows it's even going on. I'll say it like that. And so my question to you is, talk to the person that's in that abuse situation,
Hmm.
and what would you say to them as they're listening now? And some things that they could do to get a better life.
The first thing I would say, Shay, to
Mm-hmm.
that person is Find the true definition of who you are. God created you, and He created you for a purpose and a destiny. So I work with people on helping them define who they are. I also know, because I have over 4 decades of doing a 360-degree. Shade, can you believe I used to be so shy I couldn't lead silent prayer?
You?
Uh-huh.
The person on the other
I
side
would
right now?
cry.
Okay.
I would cry at a drop of a hat. I allow people to talk to me any kind of way. And that was not me. And then I tried things thinking, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then hit obstacle, hit walls every time, and thought, okay, I'm just gonna give up. I threw my hands up. And I know somebody out there is feeling like you just throwing your hands up, you waving that white flag and saying, maybe it's not even worth it. Well, let me tell you, you are worth it. And I want to see if you can work with myself. And right now, I'm also in a collaboration with my success partner, Dr. Dan Abraham uh, Thomas Jr., right? It slipped my mind. And we are helping marketplace leaders. It's called the Sacred CEO Experience. We are helping marketplace leaders break the bonds of procrastination. If you've procrastinated, if you started something and then because something didn't work, you stopped and you just gave up. You continuously start over and over and over again. So we want to help you break that. And we also want you to find out who you are, your true being, your brilliance, and a defined blueprint. See, I believe you should live your life by design, not default. And that's what I do. So, first is finding out, who are you? What are your best traits? What do you do well? What do you do with the least amount of effort? And chances are it is a passion. 2, get on some type of growth plan. I say at least 1 year. And in that growth plan, you find out what your strengths are. I operate in everything I do out of my strengths. And I have interviewed experts who have the same strengths I do. So you want to talk to people who are like you with certain characteristics. So that's the second step. And then give yourself time. Let me tell you, don't worry about what people say. And I can tell you this for sure. People aren't talking about you as much as you think they are. It's up here. And I always say we got to get rid of the head trash.
Get rid of the head trash. I love it. Where does this burning desire come from, for you to want to give and support and lift and encourage other folks? Can you take us? Maybe there's a backstory to this. There's an origin. Maybe you've been doing it since you were a little girl. We just want to know, because the passion is there. And so I guess the question is this something that just recently happened, obviously because of you becoming a crown warrior, or is this something that's been going on for years and decades? So here's the question: what's the backstory behind you having this passion to give, lead, serve, and help other folks?
Yes, this has been, and in a few weeks, I will be 66 years young.
Looking good, looking
And
good. Congratulations to you.
thank you. And when I started, I was, like I said, very shy, very withdrawn. If nerd had been around back in that day, I would have been one. But then God put someone in my life who said to me, allow me to believe in you until you believe in yourself. And when you start to see and believe in yourself, the only thing I ask is that you pay it forward. And I'm happy to say I'm doing that. And unfortunately, I lost her back in 2020, my very first mentor. And I still have a coach. I have a coach as a coach because I always want to be able to give my very best. So I am paying it forward, helping as many people as I can. Now, I've done several different things. I've worked a job, and don't ask me what that means, job. And it's usually people work those because they have to. And I'm not ridiculing anybody who's doing that. But truly, if you find what you're passionate about and learn to make a living at it, you'll never job another day of your life. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm now the matriarch of my family. So I set the example for my children. I have 3 adult children, and I have 12 what I call grand sugars because they're sweet as can be. And so I'm the example by which I want them to live their lives. I want them to do it sooner than I did. But not just my family, whoever God puts in my path, and they see me as a possibility of helping them live their best life, then I'm willing to do it.
You know, on this journey, as you were sharing your grand sugars, you got a big smile when you said grand sugars, by the way. We saw that. Were there affirmations that you've been able to tell yourself along the way, or that you share with your clients to keep them encouraged, to keep them inspired, and to keep them being consistent? Because one of the biggest challenges after people get the Holy Ghost and get excited, I mean, I know you're a Christian, I am too. They get excited.
Mhm.
Sometimes they don't continue on, right? So we know consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. And having said that, people struggle often with consistency. And so your whole conversation, I love that, is about what you need to do. You didn't say what someone else need to do. You like, look, you need to look inside yourself. Here's the
Mhm.
question. What are some
Mhm.
affirmations that maybe you tell yourself, that you tell your clients to share, that can keep the mindset where it needs to be on a continuous basis?
You know, several years ago, I used to travel to high schools, and I was a guest speaker for a private college. And you know how high school students are, and you here you are a guest. So you could just imagine how they looked when the teacher introduced me. And I decided that I needed to come up with something that would get their attention right off the bat. So would start out by saying, bold, daring, determined, caring. Boy, oh boy, I'm into sharing. I am so excited, and that's not a bunch of hype. Power, passion, purpose is my type. It's my pleasure to be with you today. Listen up. Hear what I have to say. I'm Karen, Coach KG Gilliam. Good morning, good afternoon. And I would watch their faces. And in one instance, I remember a young man said, if I knew you were going to rap, I'd given you a beat.
I like that. I thought it was good. I was like, whoa.
Yes, but bold, daring, determined, I had to become. And caring, I have always been. And then power is influence, not how strong you are. Power is influence. So I wanted to have influence and impact in people's lives. Power, passion, doing what I love, loving what I do, and purpose, direction, destiny. So those are the things. Then I also used the word of God. I said
Mhm.
what God said about me. I am the apple of his eye. I am the head and not the tail. I'm above only, never beneath. Those are things that I said daily, daily.
Now, the next question I have here is, what do you do for fun? I mean, I'm just curious. When you're not out playing with the grand sugars, you got 12 of them. That got to keep you busy, by the way. Sound you got
Oh,
adult
yeah.
children, so they're adults. So, what are you doing now when you're not saving the world and you're not in this mode that you're in now? What do you do for just fun that puts a smile on your
Oh,
face?
let me tell you,
Tell us, please.
because I love so much what I do, I said, you know what? I got to have some fun. I
Mm.
gotta have some fun. So one of the things, we are a sports family.
Okay.
I'm happy to say I have three grandsons, high school and college, who are excellent basketball players. The youngest of those three played varsity at as a freshman. He's a
Wow.
rising sophomore. And I travel, I love travel. I travel to wherever they are playing. I Next week I'll be in LA for the one I just spoke of. This weekend, one's playing in a bowl game, and he's a rising senior football, and I'm there. So that's what I do for fun. I am a trivia nut. I love trivia. I used to go with my son and his girlfriend and her mother to what do they call it? Like a brewery,
Mhm.
and they do a trivia night. Um, wh- I'm trying to think one of the names we use, but I can't even remember it now. We haven't been since they had the last Grand Sugar that's now 2 months old. So I love to travel. I love to get together with my family. I love creating memories. We have gone places, rented houses that had pools. The younger grandkids thought that was my house, my other house. so, so that's what I love to do. I love reading. I love cooking. And now
Mm.
that I'm more on a health um, thing, because of I was diagnosed pre-diabetic and all of that, I have totally changed my lifestyle as far as eating. So I'm coming up with new recipes. Today for lunch, I had an egg wrap with spinach and egg, fried it, and I put some chicken, lean chicken, and avocado, rolled it up. Protein.
Ooh. Oh, rub it in, rub it in. That sounds delicious. Woo!
So that I love fun. My family is everything.
Thank you for sharing. As we move to a segment we have here, one of the segments we have here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show is a segment called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks that tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, welcome back. We're glad to have you. Or maybe you're following us on YouTube. You can subscribe over at I Am Shay Brown on YouTube, or maybe you're on one of the podcast stations. We appreciate you. For all the new folks, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, which the audience loves to say, today is my January 1st, it represents a new start. It represents a do over. It means that our past no longer equals our future, and that you really get a happy new year whenever you use the words, today is my January 1st. And so, my question is, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, Karen, what do you hear?
Now,
Mm.
you can't have the next until you do what you need to do now. You want the next? What are you going to do now? Execute. It's one thing to say it, but you have to execute it. There is something you need to do. Many of us, many of us have dreams. Many of us have unfulfilled dreams. But the reason why they're unfulfilled is you have to go from being just a dreamer, where you're talking about it, where you're thinking about it, where you're fantasizing about it, to a dream builder, which means you have to put on the construction belt. Whatever tools you need to do something each and every day. And let me tell you this, as I tell my clients, take a calendar. If today is your January 1st and you do nothing but just say, today is my January 1st, take a pair of scissors, cut that day out of the calendar, because now you've just extended it. You've just extended it. So do something every single day and make your next now.
It's 9 o'clock time. I love it. I love it. I love it. How can folks best connect with you? It's a two-part question. What type of clients are you working with these days at your firm? And number two, how can folks connect with you over and beyond today?
Okay. Now, when I first started, it was before coaching was the key word. I was a mentor. And my definition of a mentor is someone who lives to make sure your dreams come true. And so I was working with women. I was on staff at a church and I worked with women. I worked in the women's ministry. Well, I've expanded from women to working with men and women, especially since my success partner, uh, Dr. Thomas, works with me. So we are looking for those people. And when we say marketplace leaders, we're just looking for those who have influence with a circle of people. You don't have to necessarily be in the marketplace, but whoever you have influence with. So I work with everyone now, and we help you to tap into your true being, your brilliance, and give you a blueprint. That's how you create those beautiful buildings. You have to have a blueprint. You have to know what you want, why you want it, when you want it, and we help you do that. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. For those of you that would like to read the story of Queen Warrior Crownbound, you can go to www.payhip.com/Karen Gilliam. And you can get the book through there. I will get notified and I will send you an autographed copy of the book. And then if you would like more information about the Sacred CEO experience with Dr. Uh, Thomas and I, then you can on Facebook look up Sacred CEO Experience. Sacred CEO Experience. You can find me on uh, Facebook, Karen Johnson Gilliam, and Instagram at kgilliam57. So every week I do a personal development session, Facebook Live, called Turn It Up Thursday. And so send me a friend request. We turn it up because when we hear that our favorite song, Shay, what do? We turn up. We turn that volume up. So we turning up your live and with a personal development session each and every week.
I love it. Well, let me say first, thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it. We know that you
Thank
can
you for
always make more
having me.
money, but you can't make more time. You've given us the most precious resource that you have, which is your time. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
And thank you, the viewers. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Without you, there is no show. And I like to share every night these words, and mix up sometime, but I want you to know, if you haven't heard it, if you heard it, you'll hear it again, that you are incredible. Isn't that it? You are awesome. That you are truly an amazing, unique individual. And for you, today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, your best is still yet to come. Isn't that encouraging? Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name, in case you forgot, is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. Remember this, though. Remember this. Time is long. Life is short. You got to live in that moment. And you got to make it count. God bless me. Wish you success. Thanks a lot, Karen. You're awesome. You're amazing. I appreciate it. We're out here, you guys. Peace.